If I open the PPT, so we had discussed about the OLAP thing, that is Redshift on the Amazon cloud, and then we have discussed about the Redshift architecture, that how the leader and cloud compute node works, what are their responsibility, how data gets distributed on the Redshift servers. So all those things we have actually discussed, and now we are pending with short keys, and we are pending with Spectrum. Redshift Spectrum is one more service. And distribution styles, actually I have explained in quite a detail yesterday. So just to give you an idea, E1 distributes data evenly on all the compute nodes. Key distribution means we are going to select a column. Based on that column, our partitions, or you can say distributions, are going to be created, and data is going to be distributed accordingly on compute nodes. And then all means all the complete data is going to be copied on all the nodes. So this is a basic headline, you can say. The good examples, their use cases, pros and cons, I have discussed about this in yesterday's class. And please go through the recording, and if you have any sort of questions, please do let me know. So today we are going to see the Redshift things practically, and I'm going to just open up a cluster. And pricing wise, first 2 months Redshift is free to use if you have a free tier account and if you just launched it. So for first 2 months it's a free service, you can utilize that part. But again, remember, it's not a completely free. It only one particular node is free. If you launch a heavy node, then you have to pay. And make it a practice. Then whenever you're done with your services, either shut down the service or either just pause those things. So if I come on Redshift, and then if I just go on Redshift homepage, this is how it's going to look like. And I already have one cluster running. I just paused it. So maybe I before explaining to you, because it's going to take around 5-10 minutes of time. So I'm just going to kick it for resume. Now, when you come on this page, this is the landing page that you will get, and we can hit create cluster from here. We do have a serverless version also available. We are going to discuss about this also. So here, first of all, I have to go on and say click create cluster. Then we have to search or create a cluster identifier. That means just a name for our cluster we have to decide here. We can give any name. For me, Redshift cluster 2 is also fine. Anyhow, I'm not going to launch this one. Just going to explore all the options or settings that we have here. Then either you can choose the size of the cluster, or you can say help me choose. When you say help me choose, and you have to provide the data that approximate data that you are going to need, and how much query time you will need, and how many months you are going to store this data, or how many years you are going to store this data, how many months of data you are going to store. So based on that, it's going to recommend some solution for you, or some approximate cluster size and number of cluster. It's just going to suggest for you. But for now, for our case, we are like not launching any production workload for now. So we are going to say I'll choose, okay, and we are going to select DC2 large node. So in free trial, you will actually see a box here, production and free trial. You have to select on the free trial. It is not available for me because my account is more than 2 months old, and I'm choosing DC2 large node. So even in free trial, please choose DC2 large node only. Other nodes are paid basis, like they are chargeable from the first second of their launch. And if you see, we have various kind of clusters. So just by mistake, if I choose the most costly cluster, that is a RA316X large node, and if I launch 2 nodes of this, so just look at this. This is the amount that I have to pay. Okay, so even you are in a free tier account, just look at this amount that you have to pay if you launch this cluster by mistake. So I'm just giving you cautionary warning that you have to select DC to large only. This is way more than enough for our practical use cases or our practice. And also here, just make this number 1. Okay, 1 node is more than enough for our practice and learning purposes. Then you see, even if you are not in a free tier account, still we have to pay $226 per month. That is also a very good amount. So I will request you guys, once you are done with the practice, then and there, just go ahead and pause this cluster. Do not wait, or just don't ignore this part. Moving ahead, if you want, you can check this box, and some random tables it is going to store for you as a sample data. So those you can utilize for your join queries, group by queries, or some practice that if you want to do. Otherwise, you can completely ignore this. This is a purely a optional thing. Now we have to select admin username and admin password. So I'm just I'm actually not going to select this password, but you have to select a password and make sure the password rules are actually written here. No use of /, double quotes, or add character, and it has to be uppercase, lowercase, and numbers, and special character also. Then right now I'm not going to launch this cluster. That's why I'm not using a password. I'm just going to walk you through here. I already have my cluster running, but you guys have to choose a password for your admin username, admin access. Then comes the IAM role. So first of all, you have to create a IAM role. I'm going to show you how to create the IAM role for Redshift also. Then once the role is created, so I have that role created with me. You have to click on associate IAM role. Just click on this like this, and you have to select the Redshift full access role, and just select this and say associate IAM role. That's all you have to do. First, create the IAM role. IAM role must have S3 access and Redshift basic execution role. Then I have some default configuration. Those, if you want, you can go ahead and change. Otherwise, you can completely ignore this also. But just to showcase to you, first part is networking. We are not networking or security engineers. That's why that's why I just leave the settings on by default mode, because we have no idea about VPC, that is virtual private cloud, security groups, and subnetting, IP routing. We have VPC routing. So we have no idea about these things. So I'm just going to launch, keep it default. And if you know, you can go ahead and try to modify these things. But for me, I have completely no idea about the networking part in the cloud. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Then I have database configuration. You can change the database name. So for now, it's a tab. You can say prod or any database name that you want to give. A port number by default is 5439. If you want to change, you can change the port number also. And then we have parameter group. Parameter group I am going to discuss in detail in the next sessions. But just understand, this parameter group is the grouping of some parameters that defines the characteristic of this cluster. Then we have an encryption part. So if you want to encrypt your Redshift, you can go ahead and encrypt this. And then we have a maintenance part. So maintenance means AWS asks from you that you should give him a time that at this particular day of a weekday or maybe weekend, it's going to be upgraded, or some patches are going to be applied by the AWS. So if you just click on this maintenance section, you can see I'm selecting our default maintenance window. But if you just do not select this, then you have a time to choose, like weekday, date of week to choose. Then you can select a time, and like this, in this time only, whenever they have to apply some patching or some security upgrades in your clusters, they are going to do behind the scenes at this particular time. Then monitoring, if you want to have create some alarm in the sense, let's say your cluster utilization is around 90%. So maybe you can create an alarm that whenever my cluster utilization is at 90%, just drop me an email and then I will look what I have to do here in this case. Backup of this cluster, that means what happens when this cluster is running in actual production also, we do create some backups. Okay, backups could be manual backup or backup could be automatic backups. So from this page, we cannot go ahead and schedule an automatic backup. I am going to tell you how we can schedule automatic backup, but some settings we can still make. Okay, so it is saying automated snapshot retention period. That means how many days you want to save your backup. So right now setting says every 1 day I am going to take the backup, and every after 1 day I am going to delete that backup. That means if I take backup on Monday, okay, it is going to be available till Tuesday. Then I'm going to take the next backup on Tuesday, and on Tuesday I'm going to delete the backup of Monday. So only 1 day's backup I'm going to create with me. So if you increase the number of days, obviously you have to pay some slightly higher charges. Then the snapshot took manually. That means we went ahead on Redshift and we took the snapshot. So those are going to be indefinitely there on your Redshift unless we go ahead and delete these things. Backups are stored behind the scenes on S3 buckets. So backups feature is like when you by mistake corrupt the data in your table, so you can use the backup and get back that data. If you wish to enable the cross-region application snapshot, that means right now my cluster is going to be launched in Mumbai region, and if you wish that a cross-region backup is available for you, you can enable this. Slightly higher charges is going to be there. And in case of a complete availability zone, if you want to move this cluster to a different availability zone, you can enable cluster relocation also. So these are the all settings on Redshift page. I'm just going to go on top and just take a pause. If you have any questions, let me know, please. Okay, so just repeating, in this page we are choosing name, size, and we can see some costing of the server and number of nodes we are selecting. So, and I will just move to next page. Sample data is fine. Then we have database configuration. This can be utilized to connect third-party tools to Redshift. Your ID passwords, or it's a kind of an admin ID password that you can utilize. Next, we have IAM role. So this role is going to associate some permissions to Redshift. Obviously, S3 is a most important one. That means if you want to copy data from Redshift to S3, then Redshift should have the permissions to go ahead and read the S3 data.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So this Redshift full access, which are the policy you have used?
Come again, please.
This Redshift full access is the IAM role. In this, which are the policy you have used?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about this. Okay. This IAM role, actually I'm going to go on. I'll go on IAM role page, and then I'm going to tell you how I have created this Redshift full access role. Okay. Then, as I mentioned, networking security. If you guys are confident about this part, please go ahead and try manipulating this. Otherwise, just don't touch it, because we are not networking engineers, and no engineer or no person can learn each and every domain. Okay, even in technology, like on cloud, again I'm repeating it, this I said on day one also, we have data analytics, we have BI, we have machine learning, we have IoT, we have infrastructure management, we have DevOps, we have networking and security admin parts. So obviously we cannot be every person. Then I have some database configuration parameter groups. I'm going to show you what are the parameters that we have inside the groups and how we can manage those and how to utilize those things. But this is going to be on Monday because this is going to take some time. And I have maintenance. It's as simple as that. We want to have give a fixed time. At this time, maintenance of our cluster is going to be taken care by AWS. Then we have monitoring part. Right now, we are not creating any alarm. Then we have backup part. Once you're satisfied, most important thing, again, I'm repeating. Okay, this you can actually say use defaults. No need to make any changes here. Most important thing, you might take a screenshot also, or you might start seeing this video while you're trying to launch a Redshift server. Do not launch RA3X plus server. This is by default chosen if you have no free trials. Okay, this is by default chosen, and you can see the cost that you have to pay. So do not select this node. Okay, I'm not going to launch this cluster because I have already one created. So now I'm just going to go back to my cluster. We can see that it should be actually available. Seriously. Yes, it is available. So if I come here, if I select query editor, I will just say connect to database and I can use a recent connection. Basically, here you have to say Redshift cluster name. Your database name is actually dev that we have seen, and user is AWS user. Here we no need to give the password. Password and all those accesses are for admin access when they try to connect this Redshift from outside of AWS. Here we need to say database name, that is dev, then database username, that is AWS user. Okay, then just hit on connect and it will be connected. Right now I am connected with my Redshift cluster. Okay, today we are just going to create a simple table and load the data inside that. So let's say I go ahead and create the sale data 2 table. Okay, and then I just go ahead and select this query. So I actually, if I just go on S3 part, and if I just go inside my course bucket, and in the sale data folder, yeah, in this folder I have just this file. Okay, so I'm just going to come here, and as per my data inside my file, I have just created this table definition. I am saying my column names, and I am saying varchar not null. That means this can have not null columns. I hope you guys are aware with SQL DML statements, DDL statements. Okay, and then I just have to say select this query. Either you can hit on run here, or you can control enter just to start the table. I should be able to select my schema here actually. Yes, public is there. I just refresh my from this button. I just refresh my schema details, and I can see my public schema. Then I'm just going to create this table. And if I do select star from this table, obviously I won't have any data. Underscore 2 is our table name. You can see I have no data currently inside my table because I just defined my table on Redshift. Still, I need to push data into it. So for that, we have to execute this query, the copy query. Okay. So in copy query, syntax is something like this. We have to say copy, then table name. So my table name is sales data underscore 2. Then then the location I have to mention. For the location, if I just come here, I have to select this copy SCURI, and then you can just go ahead and paste it out there. So if I just show it to you, this is actually my SCURI. I already have it here. This is my SCURI. So it is actually a URI of a folder. So all the files inside this folder are going to be copied into your Redshift if you just say this folder name. But a condition is here that all the files should share the same schema. They should share the same schema inside a particular folder. Only in that case, all the files can be copied onto your target Redshift table. Okay, and then I'm selecting my IAM role here. The verification that this copy command is going to be utilized. That is this IAM role I'm using here. And then my format is actually CSV. So by default, you can see my format is CSV. I am just going to convert this into CSV. Then I can select this command and execute this. And it has been completed successfully. Now I can just go ahead and run this query. So if I just come down here, you can see I have my data loaded into this table. So now I will again take a pause here if you have any questions about this.
Yeah, Jalaj, so when when we are giving the path, only we are giving the folder name. So it copies the entire files, whatever is there in the folder, right?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever in the CSV format.
No, not only in the CSV format, whatever is there in the format. So right now I have defined 7 columns and I have this file. So if we have a file that has 14 columns, 20 columns or 3 columns or like
Okay.
that, then
Schema.
yeah,
Okay.
its schema has to be same.
Right, right. Okay. But the same way when we are working on glue, when we are giving the folder name, but we have to mention, are we mentioning any particularly the file names? We are not mentioning, right?
No, it's your choice. If you want to read the direct file, so you can read direct file, and if you have multiple files inside that particular folder, and if they share same schema, you can
Okay.
read from the folder level also.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. More questions?
Um, Jalaj, so here directly we are just reading from the S3 bucket.
Mhm.
It's more like an explicit raw file and creating as per the file structure, the DDL statement, and we are just doing a copy inside the table in Redshift. Correct.
Yes.
So normally when I mean, if you want in a regular real time, the file names might be different, and there might be an sometimes the structure, file names may different, and the folder structure may different, right? So in that case, how this raw statement will work, or any process?
See, first of all, if you have a dynamic schema, Redshift is not built to handle dynamic schema. That is your DynamoDB, first thing. And
Okay.
second thing, we actually, this is I've just shown for demo, and in real project that we are going to do, we
Yeah.
like in the project also that we are going to do in this course only. We are not going to push CSV files. We are going to push the Parquet files, And it is like the process is like this. We are having our raw data in CSV format. Okay, then we convert, we transform, we massage the data and convert into Parquet file formats, and we know where we are keeping that like target destination I am choosing, where I am keeping the target destination, and accordingly I am going to push that data into my Redshift table. So this you have to keep it fixed. Your schema, your location, you have to keep it fixed. You cannot modify this. Yes, file name can vary. This is okay. You can have sale report 1 today, sale report 2 could be there today, but its schema and this URI, this location should not change.
So schema in the sense like the Redshift DDL statement, yeah?
Not DDL statement, the file, like obviously DDL is not going to, this DDL is not going to vary as per its own. Only file can vary.
Yeah.
So like today this file have 7 columns, so it's not possible that tomorrow we have 9 columns or 10 columns like that.
Yeah, schema in the sense what it mean. I didn't understand exactly what schema.
Schema means the column information, like
Oh, in the file you mean?
yes, in the file.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay. So like right now this file has like this file and this DDL statement that I have used, it's basically in sync right now. If I do it like this, let's just try if it works or not. So let's remove 3 of the columns. Okay, my query syntax is fine. It might work in this case. Some chances are there because it's going to truncate the columns and it's just going to load the 4 columns. So let's just see. And I just going to say 3. But ideally it should fail. You can see it has failed. And then it says do a check STL load error. So let's just do this also. I'm going to say select.
Ooh.
And then you see here I should have an error detail. Error code is only given here. This is weird. I should have an error message also. I mean, see, error is only that your table has 4 columns and file has 7 columns. That is the only issue here. But yeah, you can see extra columns found.
Okay. So why? I mean, normally if the target is as 10 columns and the source file is 20 columns. So I mean, if mapping is there, I mean, it will just load the 10 columns. So why it's giving error? I'm not sure.
Because there's no mapping here, na? Because there's no mapping. We are loading a CSV file. So if I just open that file for you.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Where is that file? I don't know if I have it or not. AWS Data Engineer. It is actually the sale data only. So if I open the sale report in a notepad so what Redshift does, let's say I have created 7 columns, okay, or I have defined 4 columns. So based on the comma, because it's a CSV and comma separated, based on the comma, let's say it gets the first comma. So it's going to say, okay, this is my first field. Then it gets the next comma. It's going to say, this is my second field. Then it sees next comma. It's going to say, this is my third field. Then this becomes its fourth field. Now I have 4 definitions in my table. I got 4 fields. Then it says, what is all this? Okay. And also remember here, I'm saying create index, SQ code, design number, and stock. If I say stock, SQ code, design number, and then index, that also Redshift does not know. For its first column is whatever you name it. It's just like that. You call it stock, you call it SQ code, you call it design number. Redshift doesn't care. It's us who have to care about this part.
Okay.
Okay.
So here on, while we are defining the table, can we do any distribution key or indexing, something like that?
Distribution key we can do. I'm just going to give you an example about that.
Okay, okay.
Distribution key, sort keys, I'm going to give an example about that.
Yeah. And even we can massage the data, right? Like suppose after loading this table, so if you want to do some upcase transformations or some kind of
Yes.
derived columns.
Yeah, that you can actually definitely do. I mean, after you store the data, you can definitely run the SQL queries. So whatever you can achieve with the SQLs, you can achieve with a Redshift also. So in Redshift, if you understand its architecture, its features, its use cases, then you can say that's all. That's the practical part. If I say that all the SQL queries, those are exactly similar, same as your normal SQL queries that you run on outside world applications also.
Jalal usually will process the files from the S3 or data lake on the curated files, right? So curated files only will process to Redshift. So most of the times, all the transformations and cleaning and formatting, everything will do during the glue transformation.
Yes, see, when Bhaskar asked this question, his idea is like, I have done those things, that is fine. But here also, when I'm doing some queries or some views, let's say I'm writing some view, okay, and
Right.
that view needs to join 3 tables, and I need again made some calculations. So that also you can actually make it here.
Yeah, once the tables are ready, then we can create a views and we can do all modifications based on the
Yes,
end
yes.
user requirements. Okay.
So it is like whatever you can identify on the glue level or on the ETL level, do those transformations then and there only. Okay, but obviously 100% transformations cannot be identified there only. That's why here we have to use
Like a warehouse
SQL.
maintenance. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
So here curated means something like a dimensional tables, right?
No, 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 no. So what? Actually, it's actually not curated. Pravas also. So if I just open this. Mm, okay, so I'm just going to open a new Excel actually. So let's say you have a source here, then we have raw. This is built on S3. Then see, basically it is called actually Medallion architecture. It's true for all the clouds or all the places. You can use this kind of architecture. So that means raw or bronze or anything that you can call it. Okay, like you predict might call it a bit differently also. Then we have curated, and then we have silver. It's the same name for two different names for same thing. And then we have analyzed, transformed, or gold layer. Okay, you might have a different name in your different place. So it's Redshift.
In industrial also we can call, right?
Yeah, anything. This is your, so you're getting the impression here. This is my raw data that I'm getting from my sources. This is my raw data. I might have multiple sources here. So those sources could be your MuleSoft, ServiceNow, databases, some web applications, some mobile servers. It could be anything, log files, web clicks. It could be any source. Then we get all those data in form of CSV files or some JSON files or some files on our S3. Then this is also called as a data lake.
So once we load the data to S3, copy test command you have run. After this, the data will be available in S3 also, and since Redshift has its own cluster, so that data will be getting copied into their cluster, Redshift cluster.
No, S3 copy will always be there.
And
S3 is not moving.
And one more copy will be there in Redshift cluster also.
Yes, yes. So if you see here also, like I just copied my data, and still this file is this file is still there.
No. In Redshift cluster, using the multiple keys distribution is there. So through that process, the data will be there in the cluster.
See, no. We are not creating copies of data on Redshift. That is only happening in the case of all distribution. Okay, I look like that you got yourself confused somewhere. We are not creating any copies of data on Redshift. We are just copying the data on Redshift. We are just distributing it. Only in the case of all distribution, your data is copied on the all nodes of your Redshift cluster. Only in the case of all distribution. Yes. So basically, I was continuing on this part. So this is our raw or bronze layers of data, where we also call this thing as data lake. Data lake means you have all the data that you required in your project in the purest form or your raw form. You have made no transformations here. You have made no changes on this data. Whatever you got from the source, one-to-one mapping you have done, and you have just pasted that data on S3 buckets. Okay. Then on the end part, you might have multiple consumers. So you might have a BI team who is doing dashboarding. You might have one more BI team that is doing another kind of dashboarding. You might have ML team that is doing some statistics and analytics, and you might have your analytics team that is just using some SQL queries and all those things. Okay. So consumers, there can be end consumers, and same technology can be used by multiple teams. So if I give you example, in my project, I was building one data lake, and that data lake, it was like my team was building a data lake. My team's responsibility were up to this level. Okay, neither for pulling the data, neither for pushing the data into these tools. But these teams were giving me the requirement, like I need this kind of data on my Redshift. So this kind of requirements I was getting from these teams. So what we were doing, like we have raw data here, the complete purest form of data here we have. Then on curate or silver layer, we just define data types. Okay, we might not change, modify, or do some calculations or joins or groupize on our data. We simply just, define data types, and we just confirm, okay, we have got a correct data. We just validate the data, that data is not corrupted. We have complete rows, like whatever you got from the source plug, those kind of things. Very small touch-ups, you can say. We give it to this data, and that we have on curate layer. Here you have all usable data, and this is built as per these teams. Now, why we have this kind of architecture? Like, why cannot we just get this data from source and directly convert this data and push this data into Redshift? Like, why to have these two layers also? We can just directly connect and push it into Redshift. Okay. Reason is, if I give you very general like example, okay, let's say these are 4 or 5 customers in your cafe. Okay, you are running a cafe, and there are 4 or 5 customers in the cafe. So you need to have your raw material intact. That means, let's say you are running a cafe and you have raw material here is as a milk. Okay, then if this customer asks for tea, you can make tea for him. Okay, from the same raw material, you can make tea for him. If this guy asks for shake, you can make shake for him. And then we have, let's say, if this guy asks for some curds, you can make curd from this. But for all these 3 requirements, you should have your raw material intact with you. Like, if you just get the source, and if you directly convert that source, or directly convert that milk into a tea for this particular user and keep it here, Then when next day this user comes to you with some requirement, you again have to pull the data, you again have to do all the transmission, and that is a very hectic part. So that's why organizations looks to build their data lake first. Once the data lake is ready, then you can serve multiple clients, multiple business holders at the same time from same data. You just have to tweak your logics as per their requirements. Getting this point?
Yeah. So one more question, tell us.
Mm-hmm.
When we are moving the files from the AWS data lake or S3,
Mm-hmm.
a particular folder has 100 Parquet files. So when we are moving these 100 Parquet files to Redshift,
Mm-hmm.
we have to create a staging table first, right?
That is your choice. You can handle SCDs on your glue as well. And in my code that I have written, I'm handling my SCDs. That means slowly changing dimension or changing data. I handle that in my code only. That is your choice. You can do it other way. One example I have that I can show it to you on next Monday class, that how to do a build a staging table and use that in Redshift, and then I'm going to use the complete transformation using Gluon itself. And just give me a second and let me just pause my cluster.
Okay, okay. No. Yeah.
I don't forget this part.
And Jalaj, sorry, I have a small question.
Mm-hmm.
So normally raw means, as per that Excel which you have showed, so there are different varieties of the data which from different source systems, okay, in different formats. Yeah. So that's a kind of an data lake. So what exactly means curated? So what it will be, how the data should like in curated layer?
Okay, so let's say I have this. Where is my file?
So industrial may or like gold means it's more the segregated data must be like
Yeah.
how we should be in warehouse.
See,
So in
curate.
curated,
Yeah. Okay. Just take this example. This is a country test set. So in curate, I might, first of all, this is complete. When I read this file, it's going to say complete string columns. Like every column, it's going to consider as a string. So in Parquet, actually, we can store the data type also. So one thing that I can do, I can convert all of my columns into correct data columns. So let's say if I want to do some calculation on this area kilometer square column, and if it is in a string, obviously I cannot apply any math operations. So I have to convert this column into a numerical column, maybe a big int, maybe a float, or like that. That is first thing. Second thing, you can see my intermediate region ID is null somewhere. I might have a check for this that it should not be null, and if it is null, then I can go back to my vendor and say data is not up to the standards. Okay, so this kind of small checks where you just confirm your data is usable. You have no nulls, or you have like it says capital, but this capital column is having integers. Obviously, it does not make any sense. This kind of validations we can run from raw to create, and it is a optional. You can also say this is a optional part. It's not necessary that you have this layer. You might directly go from here to analyze and then analyze to your customers.
actually in my company the same structure they are following. So that's what I thought to ask. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
this here to here, or they have three layers.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have more questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, next topics actually we are going to pick from Monday onwards only, uh, because it's actually late. If I just even start this, short queries, is again going to take some time to understand in, and then we have a few more features still left for Redshift. But
Yeah,
yes,
I
for
have.
this, yes, please, yes, please.
Can you go to that PPT slide number 3, where you have explained Redshift architecture?
Mm-hmm.
So here, yesterday I asked, the Redshift is a warehouse where
Mm-hmm.
we are doing some analytics query. Now,
Mm-hmm.
since warehouse don't have any uh, yesterday what we discussed is like, suppose I asked like Redshift is using S3 storage, but you said no, it is using this compute node
Mm-hmm.
CN1. So the this data portion I'm not able to understand. The when once we are loading the data from S3, just like you gave in Redshift command for copying the bucket name and the table name. So in that only the computation will happen, or as per the query in the CN1, CN2, CN3 like that, or the data will, I think that the whole data won't be copied, only the computation will happen, right?
Okay, so it looks like you are very much confused here. So what happened here? I have this data, okay, and then I said copy command. Where's my copy command? Right, actually, right now I just closed this clusters. Maybe I can get it from my Visual Studio Code. So this was the copy command I executed. So what is going to happen? This copy command, leader node will get it. Leader node will see, okay, I have a request. What I have in request, I have this location. I have to paste this location into this table. When it sees this location, it sees this only one file. I cannot use my all of the slices. It's going to allocate one slice. It's going to allocate the responsibility to one compute node, and that compute nodes one slice is going to work, and it's going to copy my data into Redshift table. Now that data is also in my compute nodes. Okay, I can run query on top of that data. Even if I go ahead and delete my S3 file, it's not going to matter now because that data is already there on compute nodes also.
Okay, so once you are saying like the data would be loaded to table, loaded to table means like in Redshift cluster itself will be having the physical data, I can say.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
And I have still left with that IAM role. Let me quickly go through there. I'm sorry, I'm making a bit of it. Here you have to click on roles. Okay, just say on create role, and here we have to choose Redshift. Once you choose Redshift, you will get three options. You have to choose Redshift customizable. So in this one, we can just go ahead and customize our role. So here we cannot go ahead and customize, and this is obviously for scheduler. So I have to choose Redshift customizable. Click on next. Okay, give it S3 access. Just come down. You might give S3 full access or S3 read-only access as per your choices. I have given S3 full access. I always want to conceive a site for permissions. And then you can give Redshift access. So right now we do not need this Redshift access for copy purpose, but in future we might need it. I'm going to tell you when. Just for that, you can say use this Redshift full access also. Then also you will need glue access. Glue service role is there. You also need this one. Right now we only need S3. Just remember, right now we only need S3, but these two are for future use cases that we are going to see. Okay, so we have to assign these three roles, and so say next, give a name and say create. That's all you have to do. You might capture this screenshot, or you actually have the recordings also, but these are the three roles that we have to give to this role, and you can use this then.
So, Jalaj, when we are copying the data from the S3, so if you will not provide the IAM role, it will also copy, or it will it is means compulsory to provide the IAM role again.
It is
Means on the
compulsory.
query I'm saying. In the
No,
query I'm saying.
come again? Yeah, query is also compulsory. It's there. It's there.
Compulsory.
Yes, it's
Okay.
compulsory. Yes, if you have any more questions.
So, Jalas, I think it is on the Redshift is also on the cloud, so it won't require any pipes like Snowpipe, right?
You are comparing this with Snowflake and Snowpipes.
Mm-hmm. Here it is not required because both are on cloud, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So there is like I have one question. It's
Yes,
maybe
please.
out of context. So I'm saying we have completed the glue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So my question is like, can you call the store procedure or function in the glue? Have you covered? Means have you covered that thing, or it's like?
Stored procedures in Glue are not there. Maybe you are trying to say stored procedure of Redshift from Glue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I'm saying I have a store procedure in, for example, Postgres. Okay, I'm using that. Okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is my database. So I want to call to Glue. Means I have to run through Glue. I cannot run that manually, right? So the Glue means I have to run means call that in the Glue job, and I have to schedule that. So it will the store procedure will run in some schedule base,
No,
or
no, no.
in we cannot do that.
See, stored procedures, you can see stored procedures actually are created on databases or data warehouses. So yes, on Redshift, you can create a stored procedure and you can call it from Glue. But
Yeah,
Glue,
that I'm saying.
yeah,
That
that you
I'm
can,
saying. Glue. Yeah,
that,
yeah, that I'm saying. Yeah. So I have
that
a
is,
store procedure in already. I've created that store procedure in Postgres. I want to call that in the Glue.
you
That you
call
can do,
it.
right?
Okay, you can call it in the Glue, but if it is there on Postgres, you have to explicitly send the credentials also. If it is on Redshift, you can very easily do it.
Okay. Credential means what actually? You mean that?
See, if you have created the procedure for Redshift purpose, that you can call
Mhm.
from Glue. But if you have created that procedure for the Postgres, that is, you might be having on premise, that you cannot call from Glue directly. You have to share the credentials, like where's the port is.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. What you are saying. Yeah. Now I got it. The username, password, and the link, all these things have to provide.
Yes,
Then
yes,
only
yes.
you can.
Yes, yes. All the security will have
But
to
we
pass it.
can do that. But we can do that, right?
See,
There is
ideally,
library.
yeah, ideally you should be, but I have never done it, so I won't
Okay,
100%
okay.
commit to this. But yeah, ideally this function should be there. It's not a very surprising thing. It's something that very very generic thing. You should be able to do it.
Yeah. I guess they are doing some POC on this actually. They have like so many store procedure on that, and they want to call that in
No, no,
Glue.
no. That is
Yeah.
on actually on premise. We are not going into this course. So how to execute Redshift commands from Glue, that we are actually covering, but on premise part is not covered.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm just asking like.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you.
So next class on Monday. It's
Yes,
not
it's
tomorrow.
actually on Monday.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.